very good to be here to read some poems. In the late 70s, and later at the end of the 70s, my son David was here. He was a jazz announcer, he's a photographer, jazz announcer for the station here in town. And he contracted leukemia and died at 25 in 1982. This past year, May 8th, the end of the Second World War, I was in East Berlin at the Soviet Cenotaph Park, a park that's not known, been completely censored to us all here. One of the most extraordinary places on earth, I assure you. And when I came out of that, I came back to San Francisco and I wrote this poem. Emergence. I came out of it knowing I had to learn death by heart. You showed me the lines in my very own brow. I was never very good at reading by heart. I need to have a score in my hand because I see now it was too much for me to memorize death with a big open breath. I needed to bend and bow. I needed to run my tongue along the ground of the here and now and taste my son who died before he could know he'd be delivered in the form of a letter written in ink invisible to everyone but me, and embrace me as I lift my eyes and raise my voice and I say, I saw you there. It was impossible not to recognize you, and I embrace you in return. Yeah. This is called Slick Satin. The satin of BP Slick has killed millions of fish, and still it's taxed shithole, and 11 exploded corpses are blood-crusted on its hands. And don't give me, please, the scolding of the president. He needs that fucking oil for his drones and copters to keep killing innocents abroad. Let's hear it for statistics. How many animals are murdered in the poor and battered Gulf? How many soldiers suicided and overdosing in Afghanistan, Iraqistan, New Yorkistan, Iranistan, San Franciscistan? How many are raising their knives to have done with their humiliated lives worth less than barrels of oil? Or putting gun barrels to brains instead of making the BP rats meet the most gigantic cats in human history, licking our chops, dying for ratatouille between our teeth. This is one for all of you in this week. It's called the Tinga, or the Arcane. It's one of the couple of 3 arcades I'm going to read in this session. Arcane is named for my longer poems. My book, published in the American language in Italy, The Arcanes, I bought a couple of copies here for sale, and there are a couple of copies of the Revolutionary Poetry and Anthology, another one which I edited with Mark Lippman. This is called the Atenga Arcade. 1. This serious star we are, red even as they say we can't anymore be. We've been finished off by technology and the CIA, and there's no way anyone wants to go back to what never anyway was, but since we're poor, all of us are poor. How much my hand misses the curve at the bottom of your bum, intimate gestures that are ours and no others. Even if they're general, even legion, they belong only to us, our irresistible bodiology. For I want to play you, and with you play the whole range of ironies, puns, and sardonic harmonies. as we really are R-H-E-U-mantics of each other's bones. You for my front one, me for your back and bum bone and thigh bone. Come, my achy bicep, my stunning knee, keep me company. Summer will soul your spring out of the gate, as you're unlike any other Philly's dendron. 2. Do you know the Atenga? Have you ever danced it? I'm going to dance the Atenga and then teach you it, because it's Valentine's Day, and the Atenga is a dance come all the way from Haiti, where the people draw veve, pouring flour on the earth, forming hearts of wonderful shapes that say, I love you in Vodou. The Atenga does that too. When you're a whirl in it, it reveals your Buddha as the heart it is. And even if Buddha in Haitian means bum, Buddha's heart lowers its 4 eyelids blushingly, because the Atenga is what's happening everywhere, throughout the Middle East and North Africa, and hopes are spinning fast for Haiti, and one day all the Americas, including the US too. 3, I was long since gone from you with my mistake. I couldn't leave, for the weaving kept me waiting, frustrating for what I never knew. And then the banes came, and your fine aches, and the immobilizing shakes for the creamy jizz-jazz of it all. So we were hosed in each other's stocking, a real kettle, and neither one for the same old, but both for the young. You with your arms open to the whirl of whatever's horizoning, and wearing nothing under your seersucker bra but nipples and plumps, niblables and plums, and those eyes filled with spermy yearns for geriatrics' succotash humping. So grab your partner's girthy waist. I'm going to do the Atenga with you, Agneta, and here's the surprise I've kept for all. Your Atenga, spelled the other way around, and we together write Happy Revolutionary Valentine's Day in Veve to them and you and you. Okay, here's another one, and then another arcane, and then I'll finish with another arcane and a final poem. This is called the Occuparty Arcane. 1. There's a poem being written by the people of the world in a process in motion, a composition by field, literally, by camping in parks, on campuses, occupying everywhere. It's got its twists, absurd turns, but its rule is presence of breath and being in the truly present, after having received the essence, the inmost call for democracy's justice at last. And so one has to go with it, because one's already been spoken to from and by the future irrevocably. 2, no, we're not a picnic on the lawn of government. A little verse that says to the 1%, we want to annoy you a little so that you recognize us. Listen, occupiers, unless we say goodbye forever to the Democrats and repulsive cans, the 2 sides of the coin that is capitalism, and with Greens and independents work all together to create the Occuparty, unless we look in that direction as a new class under the sun of an organically collectivized democracy, the army of the capitalist class, that 1%, cops who belong to the 99 but have bought the bullet along with the brainwash of the lie of security, those cops surely won't be doing crosswords when they're ordered to tear gas, mace, club with batons, and even shoot to kill us and our brothers and sisters. They'll only desist and join us when we create the Occuparty born from the poem that's being written by people of good earth and goodwill all over the world. The penultimate poem that I'll read is another arcane. It's a little different in a certain sense, as you'll hear. Music is a little different, but I actually finished it. Not so much for today, but perhaps for today, because I only finished it last night. It's called the Wampa, W-A-N-P-A, Cent, S-C-E-N-T. The 1% Arcane. 1. The 1%'s the smell of all stinksomeness, the murder of all vowels to make a bowel of turds that defects hate on all who occupy against the stench of the rot of the rat at the root of the death rattle of run-oiled regoon. Yeah. The shit-ass son of that car-wrecked assassin Wretchheart knocks on the door of death, who ambushed to power on the flaming red body of hell in Gehenna Dickless, the first of meaty witch haunts, and taught that lame-brained gonzo how to knife the people in the buck. These are the heads of the swine corps against our Occupy. They're who give the cops who beat you their clubs, their gun cells, all, from gang wretch to snitch Romney, and in fact so is Obama, the sad drip of the capitalist party, who while you and yours were singing your lang zine, was signing the NDAA and disappearing your liberty. You're in fat ship's America now. You're a heap without habeas, a carnal without corpus. You can be harassed for the crumb of being part of a terrorist plot. And he's departed 400,000 people so that the statue hasn't stopped weeping down cheek and all over Emma's Lazarusian poem since the start of the year. Nothing could be worse than a hearse of human verses, all in mourning, too. So it's amnesty to an end, this cartoon. And where's Moses to chauffeur it? It's amniotic destooning, the tear of your ear off, the tumult of your scorn. Ah! Shem will strike you lightning fast, and you won't know what hate you. You'll be fatally down for the count, but at the sound of 10, your hand will become 100 with a manifest-talking, distributing again. Up and at 'em, occupiers, once dead ducks, now phoenixes on fire, transflaming everything to me in the womb of tomorrow, into a whole new bowl game, where the thrallest to feel is when throwing out the fierce bull at the start of God. For we've taken refuse at lost. We've gone to the fear end of Occupy, Kayippee-Kaye. We who have tantumed and zimzumed and now are screbabbling everywhere to spring the checkmates of the world from the jail, the whimper sentenced to life without parole. poets tonight. This is a poem that probably perhaps embodies the philosophy of my poetry. It's called Path. Go to your broken heart. If you think you don't have one, get one. To get one, be sincere. Learn sincerity of intent by letting life enter, because you're helpless, really, to do otherwise. Even as you try escaping, let it take you and tear you open like a letter sent, like a sentence inside you waited for all your life, though you've committed nothing. Let it send you up. Let it break you, heart. Broken-heartedness is the beginning of all real reception. The ear of humility hears beyond the gates. See the gates opening. Feel your hands going akimbo on your hips, your mouth opening like a womb giving birth to your voice for the first time. Go singing, whirling into the glory of being ecstatically simple. Write the poem.